Andrew, do you mind talking through what the law of shitty click-throughs is? I think it's actually an important, like, high-level takeaway for folks building right now.
The law of shitty click-throughs is that every marketing channel degrades over time. And it's degrading over time primarily because of use and followed by overuse within that. And so every marketer then needs to compete with each other to find new channels that they can use before each other. Now, the interesting thing with the marketers finding new channels is they're constantly trying things and copying each other. And so if you have every channel in the world constantly degrading, then you have to know, first off, where you are in the channel's kind of history as to whether or not it's going to work. And by the way, this is one of the things that sucks is that by the time that you read about a marketing channel or a marketing tactic or whatever on Twitter, it's probably already been fully utilized. By the time that there are companies that are writing case studies, enabling marketers to use the channel, right? That's when you know it's fully utilized because there's even tools. So as a result of that, you're always kind of trying to make the trade-off. Like if you think of that as like kind of a x-axis or y-axis of like the performance of the channel and where it's trending, and then the volume that you can get from the channel. If you go back to the original banner ad on the predecessor to Wired.com in the 1990s, and says something like, this is like brand new, you've never seen something like this, but like soon you will, click here. And it was like this graphic. And I think it blinked, right? It was like a big thing. And it had a 60% plus click-through rate, right? So you can imagine that's insane. And so then you fast forward 20 something years, the average click-through rate on a banner on the internet is south of 0.1%. But then there's asymmetrical things where, for example, one of the reasons why you'll find there's a lot of products, famously Tinder and Hinge and, you know, Facebook and many others grew on college campuses. But they eventually all leave college campuses because the volume isn't there. And so because of that, all the big companies end up focusing on the big channels. And these are the channels where you can put $1 billion year over year over year, and you could build large multi-dozen person teams. And so the bigger companies always focus on those. And so your edge as a new company is always to find the thing that no one else is doing. And then in order to make your growth channel defensible, ideally, your product fits the channel in such a way where others can't degrade it as quickly. So what that means is if someone else sees that Dropbox is doing the give, get, disk space thing, you know, that they did in the early years, it's like, well, what other products can actually do that? Other storage companies, right? So it's like there's not that many of them. And so because of that, that's not as tapped out versus it turns out, hey, so-and-so wants to share photos with you. Okay, there's thousands of photo apps. And so a value proposition like that, I think, gets degraded very quickly. SMS also has gone through a whole period of that. Like, you know, Brian, you were just saying that, you know, you're getting too many phone calls and like,
yeah, we're definitely dealt with it with phone.
Like text.
Like, my answer rate on a phone call used to be 100%. And now it is 0%.
Totally, yeah. So the law of shitty click-throughs is that every channel that performs always degrades over time. It only goes in one direction.